Mike interviews me and finds out a little bit more about GPT and LLMs and all these types of things.
Yeah, I kind of want to share what our take is on the current state of AI, where it's going, and how we can start using it in today's responses.
Some of the crazier things that we can do with AI and where it's going.
Yeah, and how we can integrate our thought process and our research today.
Take a listen. You know the worst part about getting on a hazmat scene?
Finishing the scene, taking your helmet off, and your hair looking like a rat's nest.
But uncertainty. That's what you have. You have no idea what's in the air.
And assuming it's just a chemical really doesn't cut it anymore. You need answers, and you need them fast.
That's where Explorer comes in. Real-time chemical ID and quantification right in the field.
Not just, yeah, it's probably something bad. It's going to tell you exactly what's there and how much.
And you can safely set up your zones like an adult, not a rookie, guessing where to put the tape.
Defensible, quantitative data in seconds, decision-making just became a hell of a lot easier.
And you're not waiting around for an answer. You just have good life-saving intel.
Check out Explorer and stop guessing. Check out 908devices.com. You know what really stresses me out about hazmat calls?
The part where everybody stands around saying, it smells like walnuts.
Exactly. It's the guessing. There's no tactics.
Yeah, Teledyne FLIR Defense builds detection tools, so we stopped doing that. Real sensors for real CBRNE threats.
And they've been at it for over 30 years, helping first responders actually know what they're dealing with.
Hazmat, Homeland Security, Public Safety, ugly scenes, clear answers.
The more you know, the smarter you operate.
So check out Teledyne FLIR Defense, any threat, anywhere, without the mysteries.
We promised that we would take a look into the solutions for battery fires, and many companies have presented their products to us. There has been one noteworthy one because it actually is extinguishing the lithium-ion battery fires. It works on multiple classes of fires, prevents the fire from spreading, and when it comes to lithium-ion batteries, it prevents them from reigniting.
Now, before that keyboard warrior starts cap locking, asking us for proof, the links are in the show notes for UL Class A and B, and for BSI 10 categories, including the lithium-ion batteries.
Now, we've put this thing through our own field tests, and I got to be honest with you, we were impressed with the results. We always suggest that you do your own myth busting. It's available in a variety of options to help integrate into whatever your current process is. You can check out Fire Suppression Solutions to get more information, or click on the show notes below.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, with that being said, the only thing we got to bring up before we get cracking, because we weren't here last week, but there were two winners for the Obexian giveaway, and I want to announce them because they deserve their druthers. Rob Longo from Jersey City Fire Department, he won last week, and this week is Tyler Bolt from North Adams Fire Department. Congratulations, guys. Your shipments are on the way.
Excellent.
Hopefully.
Always good, hopefully. We could just be making it up. You don't know.
Who knows?
Only those two know. Only those two know.
So, what are we're talking about something that's near and dear to my heart.
Yes, which is actually, now I know these are kind of like surprise interviews that I pull on Bob every once in a while. And the thought process was we need to really update what's going on with AI. It changes very rapidly. The last time I think we did an episode on AI was a year ago. Things have grown in leaps and bounds within that year. And I wanted to have an expert come on and talk to us about this. And Bob just happens to be, although I don't think he'd claim himself to be an expert, he just happens to be an expert. Now, let me just give a little bit of background on Bob as far as AI. He has wholly embraced the idea of AI, both in his professional and his personal life. I will get a text message at like 7 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday being like, "Oh my God, the new Gemini just dropped. It's amazing. You have to give it a shot." And I'm like, "Are you effing kidding me? It's 7 o'clock in the morning." He knows all the different ins and outs. So, although I have embraced it in many parts, Bob is definitely has his finger on the pulse as to where it's going and what it's doing and how to really apply it. So, we wanted to start this series by giving some basic questions and answers to help set the stage for the 2 episodes that are going to come, which is how we have found to apply the AI to your everyday hazmat run. Some things you may like, some things you may not. Yeah, I knew you would. I knew you would love this topic. All right,
I'm looking forward to it. Actually, because you know what? It's funny because I'm working with one of our good friends, Todd Burton, on a app that will be a clandestine lab app, and it's going to be pretty cool.
It's AI driven, which is it's interesting, right? And from an us point of view, right, like the first responder, it is a total game changer out in the field because we used to have to rely on us pulling information from databases. And at first, we looked at AI as being like, "Ooh, it can pull the information from databases." And now we're seeing it can actually think. And we'll kind of get all into that. But I want to just kind of set the baseline here, right? If we look back 3 to 5 years ago, where was AI realistically in terms of research and decision making as a support tool? And what has changed the most dramatically since then?
I would say probably 5 years ago, you had to do like predictive models, and you required like PhDs and undergrads and laboratories and that kind of stuff. But even I was just looking. I will say it. I'm in a whole slurry of Reddit groups and on AI, and there was just one I think this morning. If you remember it, like Will Smith eating spaghetti. The graphical, the video of it. And it was in 2023, that was the first time that thing came out. And it was horrendous. Like he was eating his hand and the fork went through his eye. But today he's cooking, and it's like the indifference in not just video, stuff, but photos stuff is insane. And I would say probably the biggest change is the accessibility and the speed, right? Everybody has it. Whether you have the downloaded apps or you have a tab open with it, the free versions are incredibly robust. The paid versions are even bigger, but we've moved from complex models that took like hours and online, offline capable things now that could predict boiling points, right? And vapor pressure. When we think about NIOSH, it is a static set of definitions based upon STP. Well, AI now is able to say, "Oh, you're in Tulsa and the humidity is 56% and you're at 418 feet off the ground, altitude, and it's 28 degrees. Here's what it really is." So like the scaling and vapor pressures and critical temperatures are available in seconds now on a tablet. And so I think like the black box of AI is opening. And I think like that latency of like on-scene utilities is disappearing. Like you're able to, like, I remember when we had to figure out how many gallons were in a saddle tank.
Okay.
Right, which is surprisingly hard to do. Like you got to do the pi r square that gets you to circle times the length of the thing, and then you get the volume in square inches or cubic inches or whatever it is. But then converting that to gallons, and then subtracting the headspace, you're at the point right now where you can take a photo of that cylinder and put like a sneaker in there, and it'll tell you exactly how many gallons are in there.
And that's an amazing part that I have seen AI come through is that like you just said, the photo part of it. And we're going to address the photo part of it in the analytical phase. When we start talking about how we actually apply it to the realm, it really has come leaps and bounds, and it's come from a novelty to an operational tool. But a lot of first responders will still think of AI as a chatbot or just an image generator, right? Like, oh, it's the thing that we use to make images for PowerPoint, or I'm sitting through a class and they're like, oh, look, that responder is wearing 2 respirators, right? That's kind of where we're still at. What capabilities exist today that actually matter to emergency responders and technical research?
I was thinking about this, and I would say probably one of the things that has come out, and it was parallel. However, it's now being coupled with was like drones, right?
Okay.
There's a healthy amount of fire departments and police departments that are utilizing drones in SWAT scenarios or train derailments and all that stuff. But much to what you were saying with the photography, imagine having a drone that can fly down a railway or go into a warehouse and read, and I don't mean this figuratively, I mean literally read and transcribe GSS labels, UN numbers, even if they're partially like obscured or damaged, way faster than me grabbing some binoculars and going, yeah, let me see what I got up here. Like, it's insane what you can do. At the conference, we're going to have Rich Gatanis, right? And he is the drone guy, and he also happens to be a hazmat guy. And we've been chatting about, what AI can do with the cameras on the fly, and it's coming. It's a big thing.
It is amazing to even think that like this could be the future of just a recon team where
Right.
where you and we see it in the medical. I believe about a week ago something just came out where ChatGPT was able to diagnose 100,000 medical conditions within seconds with an accuracy of 99.8%.
Dude, you know what? Even like we just did a webinar with Peak, right? Peak software, and it worked out amazing. And the thing is like, what was Aloha, which still tickles me that's like still a thing. It looks like it was like Windows 95. Like it's okay, whatever it is.
You got Mario bouncing on the screen.
But we can now. There's platforms that are mapping like chemical plumes onto live community assets and traffic patterns and things like hospitals and schools and even vulnerable populations in real time. And that moves us from like that whole reactive where whatever you just plumed in an Aloha is a static thing from data that was generated 15 minutes ago, an hour ago, 2 hours ago. Like the weather changes and winds change. It is able to do it and actually move based upon sun, wind, traffic. Like what's coming is, it makes me, I say this a lot because even I get it. They advertise with us, but I've been saying this on a few shows. The Explorer, I think, is one of those things. Once they start putting AI into these meters, it's a two-sided problem. It's going to mean that techs, you're going to get a better product in your hand, but at
Absolutely.
the same time, it's going to make techs dumber.
Oh, we've already seen that. I mean, we've seen that with non-AI technology. I can't even imagine how, and I guess dumber is probably not the right word, but less inclined to think for themselves.
Yes. I'll pull back a little bit on this one because I've been working on this one as well. Should I say it? I'll say it. Whatever. There is a identification method that was coined in the 80s and has since started creeping into obscurity. right? It's rather limited in what it can do, et cetera, et cetera. So imagine that you feed in the manual to AI, into a closed format AI. I'll leave it there, and start chatting with it, with an unknown. And I have successfully gotten to the answer in under 5 steps. Even when on the chart, it takes upwards of 15 to 20 steps, I've gotten there in 4 to 5. And I've been getting answers that weren't even on the chart, utilizing the same kit.
Yeah, the ability to reason has been absolutely spectacular. And one of the things that we get a lot of questions on, even when we do tech reference classes, is that understanding of chemical and physical behavior, right? So how do you see AI being used to research chemical physical properties, and more importantly, the framework to being able to predict behavior, especially with like the Gembo models and other risk-based kind of frameworks or systems that we currently have in place?
That is a great question. But first, today's episode is brought to you by Rigaku Analytical Devices, who are the folks who have been perfecting the 1064 nanometer Raman longer than some of you have been doing Haz Mat.
They just launched their 4th generation handheld analyzer, the Icon X, which is built specifically for the real world hazmat stuff that we tend to deal with. Now, we're talking dirty powders, mixed materials, dyes, colors, all the things that would make other instruments throw a temper tantrum.
And the 1064 nanometer laser means that reduced fluorescence, so you get fast, reliable chemical ID in under a minute instead of staring at a blank screen wondering what happened and what went wrong.
And the new platform, it's not just an upgrade, guys. This is a whole new toolbox. It supports new accessories, including standoff analytics, so you can get your answers without getting too close.
So if you want an analyzer that has been evolving right alongside the Haz Mat world, check out Rigaku's newest Raman at rigakuanalytical.com. And you know what I love about the city?
For me, nothing. But for you, I would imagine it's the protesters blocking the streets, right?
Oh, yeah. My new favorite is the e-scooter gangs.
Yeah. Nothing screams hazmat like a mob with a battery that's going to go nuclear.
Well, that's funny because that's where Obexian FR saves the day.
It's lightweight, mobile friendly, and designed for first responders because the last thing we need is extra weight heating things up.
And it's a third-party tested to lower the toxic gases below the ideal H levels.
Which means that you can actually breathe while putting the scooter fire out.
And if you need more, Obexian FR comes by pallet load or certified poly drum kits.
Yeah, perfect for when you think, yeah, we're going to need a lot of this.
So protect your team and your lungs. Go to thehazmatguys.dgeo.com. That's thehazmatguys.com.dgeo. Okay, so your question of Gembo and
Yeah, the
I would
behavioral
say
predictions.
they're going to be supercharged. I think that we are going to be seeing AI models. For the nerds out there, these are specifically like the graph neural networks, right? Which they don't look just like a chemical's name, but actually like the chemical's architecture, right? You can predict things based upon the way it looks, right?
Okay.
Bond angles and bond types and all that jazz. And so much like Mike was saying, like if you have a designer drug or some new precursor or whatever it is, AI is going to be able to predict it. I'm not saying it can't do it right now. I'm saying it's probably very close, if not can do it. But it's going to be able to do it by looking at the substructures and comparing it to millions and millions of known compounds. That's crazy.
That is all right. All right. So paint us this picture, right? A hazmat team arrives on scene to a transportation incident, let's say with an unknown release. What could AI realistically do today that could help the team within that first 5 to 15 minutes?
The interpretation of photography is insane. Like take 5-6 pictures of a lab, like just a lab. Chemicals, glassware up in a thing, and then feed it into this tool that we're building, and it will tell you what kind of lab it is just upon the glass. And it could be a mess, it could be pro level. It's been very accurate with that. So the interpretation of these things through image interpretation is insane. I think automation of like the Gembo, like the general behavior stuff, is going to be able to look at vessels and figure out like physical state, stresses, and patterns. That's one of the things that AI is incredibly good at that I've been figuring out is that it's insanely good at figuring out patterns.
Like logical deduction, reasoning, what's going to happen next.
Think about this. Like if you have a meter in your hand and you're a seasoned technician and you're going down your meters, you're watching for a pattern to evolve on this thing. And you couple that with what you're seeing, right? The altitude, the temperature, this. Imagine taking AI and doing all that in one shot and cross comparing the pattern recognition it sees versus you see, and you're going, I didn't see that. Or maybe you see something. I think the pattern based upon like, temperatures and pressures and imagery, because I'm talking about like photos. Imagine, all a video is a series of photos.
True.
Right? So like, 30 frames a second. That's 30 photos per second, basically, is what you're seeing. Your mind doesn't see, I think, up to 23 frames. It sees complete motion, like it's real. So we film in 30 from it's enough to fool your stupid heads.
So it can do the whole picture thing. Do you think there's a space at some point in time where field instruments with their imperfect data, false positive, cross sensitivity, sensor drift, do you think AI can make sense of confusing sensor readings without creating like a dangerous overconfidence, almost taking in the entirety of the scene and not small segments?
Yeah, I think it's going to be like the holy grail for technicians. I think this is going to be what I'm terming as sensor fusion. That's the wording I'm thinking of, because it's the answer to cross sensitivities, right?
Okay.
The ability for you to go downrange with a four gas, which has three selected single gases. You have oxygen, you have CO, and you have H2S. But you'll have a ton of cross sensitivities. And where are all those things? They're in a book back in the rig.
Right. That you may or may not know about.
Yeah. So like now I get something comes up and you're like, oh my God, AI is going to be able to look at multiple sensors simultaneously. The PID, the LAL, the electrochemical. And if a sensor drifts, it's going to notice the drift. It's going to do like, it's going to match it to real sensor readings, weather, time of day, location, altitude, and then give you actual, like when we do those, what the hell is it when you multiply? God.
When you multiply, across, correction factors.
Thank you. Right? We do these correction factors, but imagine being able to do correction factors on the fly with just everything. So instead of getting just like a number, you're getting confidence levels, right? And you remember when like Raman and FTIR would say, it would give you like three different things and it would say, I'm confident 80% to 70%. Well, imagine having that on your four gas. Like imagine saying, I have a 92% probability of ammonia, but there's an 8% of a cross sensitivity to isopropanol. That's not far. That's really, really soon. Like I would be shocked if a four gas company isn't currently working on this. And I don't have any insider information. I'm just saying if they're not doing this currently and just waiting for the big unveiling, they are missing a huge thing because somebody's going to do it.
Okay. All right. So quite often I will be doing something with AI and I'll have a problem with it and I'll call you up and in a frustrated like panic, I'll tell you what's going on. And you turn around and go, oh, no. Don't use ChatGPT for that. Use Gemini for that. Or, oh, no. Perplexity is much better at this. Now, I know in my computer, I use about 4 or 5 different platforms because I now understand because of you that not all AI is the same. For a hazmat team, what would you use which language model for? Like what would you use for a model for predictive chemistry? Which one would you use for the computer vision? Or is there going to be another model for the sensory fusion?
I'm a little leery to give away how we do our stuff, but I will because they're my friends. So you got to understand that LLMs, which is when we speak about Gemini and ChatGPT, they are large language models, which means that they go to the internet, they have the collective information of everything in the internet, and pretty much it's just regurgitating what has been done before back to you in a new format or a pattern, right?
Okay.
But there are also closed LMs. So a great example of this is Notebook LM, which is Google's project. And if you have a Gmail account, you have a Notebook LM. So open a new Gmail account, open a new tab right next to it, and just put Notebook LM, and it will pop up. And then what this does is, if let's say you drop in all the manuals for all the meters you have, the only thing in its world, that AI's world, is those manuals. It's not allowed to look outside.
Okay.
So it can't hallucinate. It can't get you wrong information. It's either in those books or it's not. And so knowing which one to pick is important. Like, for example, if I wanted to do the cross sensitivities thing and I had, all my boots, suits, and gloves and my meters and stuff like that, I would put it into a closed loop, and then I can chat with that via a call, and I can go deeper into that, but I'm not gonna. Those kind of things. But ChatGPT is good for images. It is good for videos, and it is good for pattern recognition.
Okay.
I found Gemini to be much better with arguing. So if I have a struggle session, like I'm trying to figure out an answer, I will have a chat with Gemini, and I'll hit the record button and I'll articulate my point, and then it will fire back at me. I'll be like, yeah, but that's good, but how about that's where I'll go with that. Perplexity is different though.
Okay. So I'd like to touch on that Gemini, that ability to argue, because I think that's going to be a big sticking point that we're going to want. And I know that in our class, we absolutely distinguish these two very good, right? AI can be good, but it can be wrong sometimes. So as we're growing up with this new technology, what guardrails should us, the first responders, have in place so AI becomes decision support, not decision making? And I kind of think that reflects almost to what you were saying a second ago with arguing back and forth with it.
Yeah, I think this is a larger thing, right? So we've done shows on this, and you cannot blindly take what GPT says or any of the models as your thing. It's more of a decision supporter, not a decision maker. Okay, and I think we've articulated our position on this really strongly. So I don't think you would use an open LM as a technical reference. Closed LMs, I'm okay with doing that because it's only going to look at the stuff you put in. If you put shit in, it takes shit out. That's just the way it is. So if you could utilize things, I don't understand why, certain Wiser and Cameo, they're gilded. I get it. But if you took those databases and put into Notebook, that is a thing. My problem with some of the safety guardrails is that what you may innocently think is a good idea could be a bad idea. Like taking a facility's floor map, right? And you feed it in there, or their tier 2 data, and you put it into it. What you just did was feed the system, the entire system, with that proprietary data. And that could be a security breach, right? Now that becomes part of the public training set.
Okay. for the AI.
For the AI in its entirety. So like somebody in another country then goes, hey, what's the floor plan of this? If somebody entered that floor plan in, it will come up.
Okay. All right. So bottom line here, last question.
Yeah.
If you could give one piece of advice besides having them come in and do our advanced tech ref, which yes, I'm going to blindly support our class and tell you that all of this can be, handed to you in one of our 8-hour days. If you could give one piece of advice to a hazmat technician that's using AI wisely, starting today, what would it be?
I would say start small and please don't automate your response. Don't automate it. Don't be like, all I got to do is have it do all this stuff. Use it to solve a specific pain point, like summarize this SDS, or, hey, is this a good compatibility chart? It's not a replacement for experience. Your gut, your experience, your pieces are going to be part of the whole thing. And I would say that these black box software vendors that are coming out, if they can't articulate where the logic comes from, I don't want to hear, it's proprietary. If they can't understand how the decision's coming through, then don't use that tool. I will say one of my last point is I am eagerly waiting for the time when AR becomes hazmat reality and becomes a training tool that is real. Like, it's not far. I think we're getting close to it.
Well, as soon as the AR comes through, we'll be adding that to our tech ref class as well. I can guarantee you guys that. Bob, thanks for clearing up those questions and starting what will be hopefully a multi-series on how we use AI out in the field.
Well, clear as mud. Thank you.